is the Transportation TV News Update. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting. We focused this week on some of the key transportation ballot initiatives decided by voters in several states Tuesday, November 4th. In Maryland, voters approved a constitutional amendment to protect revenues generated from that state's first gas tax in 20 years. When the gas tax increase was approved in 2013, lawmakers promised to use the revenue to replenish the state's dwindling transportation trust fund. Revenues in the trust fund are used to pay for highway and mass transit projects. The gas tax increase will require Marylanders to pay between 13 and 20 cents more per gallon by mid-2016 as the legislation is phased in. Estimates are the gas tax could raise more than $4 billion over 6 years. And Tuesday, Maryland voters approved a constitutional amendment to protect those funds, ensuring that they cannot be used for anything other than state transportation projects. Voters in Wisconsin also passed a similar constitutional amendment, establishing a lock on transportation trust fund revenues in that state. Massachusetts also raised its gasoline tax in 2013. However, that state's law carried a provision which adjusted the gas tax to inflation, allowing for automatic annual increases. Tuesday, Massachusetts voters repealed that portion of the law, requiring state lawmakers to vote annually to approve future increases in the state's gas tax. Meanwhile, in Texas, voters approved a ballot referendum that is expected to generate billions of dollars for transportation projects across that state. Passage of Proposition 1 sets in motion a constitutional amendment that will allow half of the state's cash reserves, or rainy day fund, to be used for transportation projects. The revenues are generated from taxes paid by the oil and gas industry, which has been thriving in Texas over the past few years. Estimates are that the amendment could mean up to $1.7 billion for highway and bridge projects in the first year, an impressive figure. But state officials say it's less than half of the estimated $4 billion needed annually to keep up with projected population growth and the demand for additional transportation infrastructure. In other voting, ballot initiatives to support mass transit projects in communities in Massachusetts, Florida, and Texas came up short. And in Louisiana, voters overwhelmingly defeated Amendment Number 4, which would have allowed the state to invest public money in an infrastructure bank which would have been used to help pay for badly needed state transportation projects. And finally this week, we shift gears to the Federal Highway Trust Fund, the nation's dedicated funding source for highway and transit projects. Congress must find a way to shore up the struggling Highway Trust Fund, and given this enormous challenge, AASHTO has updated its matrix of surface transportation revenue options. To download the matrix of illustrative surface transportation revenue options, go to downloads.transportation.org/Transpo Revenue Matrix 2014.pdf. That's our news update for this week. Thanks for watching.